Hello, my name is Garrett Sims, one of the hosts of Sports Timeout. We got a great episode 13 for you. Yeah, we're back. We took a little hiatus, a little winter break ourselves. We're going to preview some winter sports for you, me and Kory. So, got girls basketball, girls wrestling, boys basketball, boys wrestling across the Oak Grove, Wellington, and Odessa. Got lots of great action. We're going to do this episode, hopefully get a little preview for you. And as the kiddos head to their holiday break, we will too. And as they start back up in January, so will we. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And the episode starts right now. Hey everybody, we're back with our winter preview for our winter section kind of coming up. We're past fall. We got some great winter sports going on. I'm lucky enough to have Kory Hales join me again for the fun little podcast we do.
Thank you for having me again.
I'm very grateful, to say the least. Nobody wants to listen to me talk for an hour.
We'll see. We'll see.
But we got a lot of great sports to talk about. This is our second time recording it, believe it or not. Corruption. You'll love it.
Yep.
We're going to start off with Odessa girls basketball because, man, they're on a run right now. They're 6-1. Great start to the season. Got some, I believe we talked about it, but they have one senior in Gracie Hargett. Lots of good action recently, and, I mean, what a great start.
Really good start for that team. Like you said, one senior on the team, a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors. 6-1 so far this year. I believe they won last night at Knob Noster, which is their final game of 2024, leading into 2025. Playing really well. Charlie Adams, I think, had a career-high 28 points last night, so sophomore point guard, little stud. I had the privilege of coaching her on my little youth teams growing up. I take zero credit for her abilities because she has put in a lot of work in the offseason and has been playing some really good basketball lately. So props to her for sure, and the entire team. Head coach Jake Doyle, Michelle Gutierrez, the assistant coach, Kinley Grubb, the assistant coach, doing a great job with that group of girls, and it's showing on the basketball court.
I'm excited for them, and, you know, Charlie, I graduated with Kylie. Me and Kylie were good friends, so just to get to see her do her thing, it's just really awesome.
It's very cool.
To kind of jump on that note, we're going to kind of go over to Odessa boys a little bit. 2-4 start, first-year coach in Will Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with football, they have a lot of guys coming back late and stuff like that, so they're still getting into the groove and everything like that. But, you know,
it's a great problem to have. You want to have that same problem every year where football has success, and it obviously leads right into basketball. I think Coach Fox was saying that they either had 3 or 4 practices as an entire unit before their first basketball game, so that's not a lot. It's not a lot of prep time. That's really short time to get anything implemented or anything in your philosophies or your game plans. So I know that they're going to work hard here, especially over the Christmas break here. They've got one game on the 28th against Webb City at the 12 Courts of Christmas at Hy-Vee Arena between now and January, so that'll give them time to get some practices in and get some things put in place. So,
and, you know, how lucky are we to have kind of, I don't want to say the prodigal child, but come home, you know what I mean? And finally, Odessa has, hopefully for a while, a cornerstone of a coach, and I'm excited to see what culture he's going to implement. And it's just exciting seeing somebody I grew up with and do great things just back in your hometown. So I'm really excited to see what he does.
I'm excited just as you are. So it's very cool to see Coach Fox back on the sideline after watching him play in between the lines for several years. Now he's on the outside looking in a little bit, but still has this thumb on everything, and that's fantastic for the Bulldog basketball program.
The only thing I really want to mention is Cole Westerholt, I think, is injured still, so I mean I think they're expecting to get him back on the court here soon sometime, but they're going to be excited to get him back. Mm-hmm. And I think once that happens, we'll see what they can do. We're going to jump over a little bit to Oak Grove now. Their girls basketball team, guess what? They're 6-1. They're not doing too bad either. I think they're off to a great start. They got a really good team, and Mickey Wheeler's the coach of that.
Yeah, so he's no stranger to success, having been the head coach of the softball team that won the state championship. They're 6-1, off to a great start as well. Kalina Duffett's senior point guard out front. You got Jalen Wyman down low, both doing great things. You got Addison Marsh out there. You got Braden Goddard. You got Brianna Craig. So, I mean, they're playing really good ball. They won the Husker Classic a week or so ago here. So, again, playing really good basketball. Anytime you can go to a tournament, take home a trophy, it's fantastic. If you can take home that first place trophy, that's even better. So, great start for them. They'll be looking to stay hot over the Christmas break and into January 2025.
Yeah, great start winning the Husker Classic. We'll jump over to the boys now. Early season, they're 3-4. You know, they're trying to figure some things out. We're excited to see what they're going to do. Obviously, you know, not as great as the girls, but they still got a great squad, and I think they can do a lot of great things here.
Yeah, they are coming off a district championship appearance last year. They lost to Central of Kansas City in that game, and then Central of Kansas City went on to the Final Four, so they lost to a really good squad. But Oak Grove this year, they've got some really good pieces. They got Philip Nato, and I hope I'm saying his name right. Nato, I'm going with it. Really good. I mean, shoot, 6'4" point guard who can shoot, drive, and dribble. So I mean, it's fantastic. Keenan Brady, another senior down low. I'm sorry, Phillips junior, but Keenan Brady down low is senior. Aaron Reeves out front is a senior point guard. Has been there for 3 years, I think, as their starter. So they've got really good pieces. They're just gonna piece them all together at some point, probably sooner rather than later for Coach Ethan Shackelford, and they'll get above 500 before too long.
We're rooting for them, rooting for Shackelford, and rooting for the Panthers. And I mean, even to mention that, they got great athletes because they even got Matthew Lindsay on that team. So
yeah.
I mean, Oak Grove was great running back that he was, and
yeah.
So I mean, I just think that's cool to see these just in all these things that we talk about, to see multifaceted athletes do what they do at high levels across all sports. That's a big thing for me, and I love that. So
definitely.
We're going to kind of go over to Wellington-Napoleon now. We'll look at the boys basketball. They're 1-6. Obviously, Coach Bill Hughes, you know, and I read this in your preview, he believes in runs at the end. Learn lessons and take those and see what you can do at the end, because we're going to talk about it a whole lot. The regular season doesn't matter as much, because when you get into baseball, basketball, all those different types of kind of bracketed deals, I think you can kind of make a run, Kory.
You can. And Coach Hughes talks about they purposely schedule tough opponents throughout the regular season to get themselves prepared for a district championship run, hopefully, and hopefully beyond that. So, I mean, this is on purpose at this point, quite honestly, and they face some tough opponents, including Odessa. But 1-6 start. That's not going to be how they end. I really don't think. You got Maddox Blystone, you got Jared Raymond, two of those seniors that are on that team that are quality kids on and off the court. So
you got Johnny Hampton as well. You got Brody Best,
Jay Smefford out there at the point. So I mean, they've got good kids, and they're going to get better throughout the year. Same deal. They had a little bit of a deep run into the football playoffs too, which got them a late start. Made it to the district championship game, lost to Bramer. So, I mean, it's one of those deals where it's going to catch up. They're going to catch up to their skills, and their skills are going to catch up to them, and it's going to be a good end to 2024, 2025 season for them.
And you feel good about them, and I can at least say this personally. I've seen the leadership of Blystone. I've seen the leadership of Raymond. Those guys are leaders, so you feel good about your senior leadership, and so I definitely agree with everything you're saying there, and we're going to be excited to see what they do.
Yeah.
To jump over to another coach that I covered very well over the past four months, Andy Hampton, the girls basketball coach. They're 2-5 right now. Won a district championship last year.
Yep. Again, kind of a team that I think he would admit this as well, kind of came out of nowhere last year. Wasn't exactly stellar throughout the regular season, but it doesn't matter. Once you put the postseason, put your postseason pants on, everyone's got to play. And
you're 0-0.
You're 0-0, and his Tiger team went out there and won the district championship, which was fantastic. So, same deal. They are super young, honestly. Brylan Zeiken is a senior guard out there, shooting guard. Really, Rukavina is another senior, but she didn't play last year.
And then you got Kaylin Ellison, who unfortunately, I think it was an ankle injury, and she's going to be out for the remainder of the season. So.
Yeah, and honestly, shout out to her. I mean, she was a huge part of the championship team her freshman year. And then for whatever reason, if you don't have any luck or if you don't have bad luck or any luck at all, whatever it is, she's had zero luck is what I'm trying to say, and she's just been battling injuries the last 3 years. So I hope she can get all healed up and maybe help the softball team in the spring or something like that. But yeah, it's tough not having her on the court. I know Coach Hampton would love to have her on the court. So again, they're young. They're going to keep battling. Sometimes it's a little bit of a trial by fire, and that's kind of what it is right now with a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that team. But I think they won the other day. They beat Penny, which was out of Hamilton, which is actually my alma mater from way back in the day. So congratulations to that trip to Hamilton and getting the W up there.
Look at that. Man, are you upset or is it bitter? Is it?
No, I don't know a dang soul in Hamilton anymore. I really don't. So, yeah, congratulations to Coach Hampton and that team. Well deserved.
Round of applause. Well, with that one, we're going to move over to some wrestling.
Let's do it.
Some wrestling. We're going to start off with the Odessa girls wrestling, and we're just going to kind of talk about this. I know Emily Bischoff is the defending girls champ at her weight.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. I saw a look of her ring, and that thing is pretty sweet. She
nice.
posed with it, so I was like, as you should. They've been off to a little bit of a busy start. Oak Park Invitational, Belton Invitational, Battle of the Braids at Fort Osage, and then they even had a duel at Knob Nobster. So
yeah.
I'm gonna admit wrestling season's a little bit confusing to me. It might be a little bit to everybody else. So I think as of right now they've actually did like one or two duels. So most of it's been tournaments and stuff like that. But they got a new coach this year.
Yeah, Dayton Brown.
You got a defending champion. You got a program that's growing, and I'm really just excited to see what they do because.
Yeah, it's Coach Brown came from, first year was at Blue Springs High School as an assistant. Last year was at Knob Noster as an assistant. This is his first year as a head coach at Odessa and only his third year as a coach. And he's got a really good group of girls. I mean, obviously led by Emily Bischoff, the defending state champ.
Bella Palmer, that has wrestling in her blood.
I mean, you can't say Palmer, honestly, in the town of Odessa without thinking wrestling or just hard, tough-nosed kid.
Or athleticism.
You're correct, yeah. So you got Bella, you've got Addison Edelman, who's another medalist from last year, who's just a complete stud.
Aaliyah Sanders.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a number of athletes there that are going to make it to the postseason. It's just a matter of what can we do once we get there. So that team finished third in Class 1 last year in girls. Shout out to Oak Grove. I know we're probably going to talk about them in a second. They finished fourth last year. So I mean, it's not an easy road to get there. We all know that, but it's not an easy road in the MRVC West. Honestly, if you got Odessa and Oak Grove, boys or girls wrestling. So.
Two very stout programs from top to bottom.
For sure, yeah.
It always have been.
It's gonna be a fun year for that program.
And we'll talk a little bit about the boys next. They went to the Dan Gable Donnybrook tournament, which is a huge tournament for them. December 6th and 7th. That's up in Iowa for people that don't know. And kind of like we've been talking about competition. And what I want to say is when you take a team like this and you do something like that, the lessons, the experience you get, everything you do is so much more, I want to say, better because of the competition. You're not seeing, the same competition from Missouri. Now you're facing people from the best of the best in Iowa, the best of the best in Minnesota or surrounding areas. So great start for them. And the only thing I want to say is out of that, they got 17th, which I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Blaine Wallace got second place. So have an eye out on Blaine Wallace all year long.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, you go to a tournament like that, and I think kind of what you want to see is you already know that you have a great team. Obviously, you're the defending Class 2 state champs. You know that you've got great young men coming back with 4 state finalists, 4 state champs as freshmen last year. You know you got a good core. But what you're going to learn at the Donnybrook is what do I need to work on?
Yeah.
And you're going to learn it early. Obviously in the first tournament of the year. And you're going to face, like you said, you're going to face guys that you may never see again, except for, freestyle season, what I'm saying, later on.
Yeah.
Later on. So, I mean, it's one of those deals where it's, let's magnify what we really need to work on so that everybody sees it. The wrestler, the coaches, everybody. And then let's focus on it the rest of the year and let's get better for that February run of, districts and state and see if we can go repeat, I guess.
And I knew a couple wrestlers, Xavier Walsh, Nick Wright, Colby Wilson, Bryce Palmer, Braden Paul. I knew all of them. Mm-hmm. And the thing that kind of stands out to me is it's very similar to like the way they approach wrestling sometimes is the way they approach like pitchers in baseball. oh, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to throw just a changeup or a fastball. They're trying to do things to get them out of their comfort zone. Things that they normally wouldn't try in a match, they're going to do it here because when it's all said and done, you're getting better. You're walking away from this thing better. So, and I just think that's like one thing that I've noticed. So when you go into a tournament like this, you're going to try to kind of throw the kitchen sink to test yourself, and not only test yourself, but challenge yourself. Yeah. So we're going to be excited to see what they do. Mm-hmm. I think both of them will be KC Stampede coming up before
boys and girls from Odessa are at the KC Stampede this weekend. So we are recording right now on a Friday, so they're there today and tomorrow.
And that'll kind of
21st, and that's going to be another big tournament, honestly.
Huge tournament, and that will kind of wrap up their action as they head off to Christmas break, holiday break, winter break.
Yep. Stampede's always a big tournament. I think I looked this morning. I think there's 98 teams or 98 schools represented, so it's a huge, heck of a tournament with again strong competition across all weight classes. So
hopefully we'll get some results for you soon. With that, we're going to jump over to that other team we were talking about, the 4th place team last year, Oak Grove. We'll start off with the boys a little bit. They kind of have. I've noticed they kind of do some similar things. They don't do some similar things. Sometimes they're at the same tournaments. Sometimes they're not. Always think it's interesting to see where it falls. They had a Richmond try to start off their season with Northeast. I think that's Kansas City.
Northeast Kansas City,
Yep, and then with Central Kansas City. So they lost to Richmond 39-36, but won against that KC kind of team 60-20. They went to a tournament, the 13th and 14th, I think at Lee Summit. They placed 10th.
Lee Summit North,
which is very good.
Yep. And then they're back in Lee Summit this weekend.
For the holiday.
Lee Summit Classic, if you want to call it that. The Lee Summit Tigers instead of Lee Summit North. So, yeah, they're at the field house this weekend, today and tomorrow. Again, December 20th and 21st for that tournament. That's always a stout tournament. And it's always kind of a traditional start to their season. They usually hit those 2 Lee Summit tournaments in December, and then take the break over the Christmas break. So, again, good guys, great guys. They got talent pretty much throughout the lineup. So.
Cale Martin, Perry Morgan, Mickey Seymour. I think even Grant Guinness. Grant McGinnis.
There you go. Throw the MC in there. You got Elliot Atwell in there as well. So I mean, they've got some good kids. I know head coach Jamie Scully is he really wants a return to excellence. I mean, there's been years when you don't want to see Oak Grove walk through the door at a wrestling tournament. And that hasn't necessarily been the case lately. So I know that the coaching staff and the kids on that team are all focused on getting back to the top. I think I was in there the other day taking pictures for our preview section, and I think on the board, and I hope I'm right here, I think 2017 was the last time that they had a top 4 finish at state. They only give 4 trophies out for team, and 2017 was the last time Oak Grove did that. So I know they want to get back to that for the boys' side. So that's the main focus. They're going to bear down and get better. I promise you. And Coach Scully will make sure they do, and hopefully they can make a run in February.
Yes, sir. And we're gonna see where it all goes.
Yeah.
And another team in Oak Grove, the girls wrestling team. Man, I was reading, and I love reading about our previews and the stories that we do. Eva Alexander, she looks like an animal. I mean, I would love to see her wrestle because I feel like she's kind of that intensity you're talking about when you walk through the door. I would be scared if that was my opponent.
Yeah.
They kind of started off at a Butler Scramble, went December 10th to the Battle of the Braids, and the reason I bring this up is because I think Phillips, first place finish, Fallert, first place finish, and the girl I was just talking about, Alexander, first place finish, and also 2 runners up.
It's crazy. Backpedaling to Eva, and she's still learning. This is her 2nd year of wrestling, which is just amazing. So, props to her. Number 1 for even trying it, having never tried it before, and number 2, props to her because now she is stone cold focused on getting on the championship wall in the wrestling room at Oak Grove, and that's fantastic. And honestly, she can do it. So can Lauren Phillips, who you just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
And so can Keely Fallert, who you just talked about. Both of those girls were runner-up last year at the state championships. I think Eva got 5th, if I'm remembering that correctly. So Man, if those three girls could make a state championship run, hello, top 4 finish as a team, and hello, possibly championship as a team. So, head coach Mike Phillips, obviously, that's his daughter Lauren that he's talking about and coaching. That's got to be a whole different animal for him. So, I think he kind of mentioned in his preview when we talked about, needing heart medication or blood pressure medication. I don't doubt it. So, God bless that man, because that's going to be a nerve-wracking next few months for him. Hopefully they can both do it. And how awesome would that be for Lauren to be a championship winner on the softball team in the fall and then go win an individual state championship in the winter, cross your fingers, and a championship as a team, like cross your fingers. Like senior year, go out as a 3-time state champ.
Technically 3-time state champ.
That would be amazing.
And I'll root for it. I know everybody can't get first, but it gets me excited talking about these.
Yeah, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch.
But
that would be extremely cool.
Like we kind of said, we're kind of previewing everything for you a little bit, what's happened, what has been. We're going to take a little bit of a hiatus as they take a break, so we'll come back at you at another time. But, man, we got a lot of great winter sports coming at you. I was never a wrestler or a basketball player. That you were more the basketball player. But
not a wrestler.
I still get excited about those winter sports because there's an atmosphere and an environment that goes along with them, the cold weather and just everything like that. And I'm excited to see because we got some really good wrestling teams and we got some really good basketball teams, and we get to talk about them and cover them.
It's going to be fun. When we come back in January, we're going to be hot and heavy into it. My gosh, it's about like fall sports where we're going to have games 4 to 5 to 6 days a week or matches. So
February gets rough.
February gets rough as well. So it's going to be the next 8 weeks, especially. It's going to be a locomotive running downhill out of control. Yeah,
if you kind of listen, it's going to sound like Ozzy Osbourne, a little bit crazy train. Stick with us, and we're going to have fun doing it. Hopefully, we get you guys some good guests, some good interviews, and get you that great coverage that you guys love. So, Kory, anything else you want to say?
Hey, Merry Christmas to Tiger Nation, Bulldog Nation, Panther Nation. We'll see you in 2025.
And I'll hit the other side of that. Happy holidays and happy Hanukkah.
There we go.
So, with that being said, that's our weekly roundup for our winter preview. We really hope you enjoyed the weekly roundup. Up next, a quick ad break, followed by an interview with OHS Head Basketball Coach Will Fox. My name is Garrett Sims, one of the hosts of Sports Timeout. We have a great advertising opportunity for your local business with 15-second or 30-second ads, either costing $25 or $50. If you're interested in these opportunities, reach out to me at sportstimeout24@gmail.com and or John Spar at the Odessian. We look forward to working with your local businesses. My name is Garrett Sims. For our guest this week, we got a friend of the program. We got Will Fox, head coach of the Odessa boys basketball team, assistant for the football team. Thank you for joining me, Will.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to do this.
So we got some questions for you because this is your first year as a head coach with basketball, and that's just a huge congratulations.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to pursue coaching, and then how did that lead to basketball?
Yeah, well, all my life, sports has been a huge part of my life, and especially coming from Odessa, I wanted to get back home, kind of show the kids how ball actually works. Coaching at the college level at Pitt State, I thought I had some good guys in front of me, and Kim Anderson and Jeff Boschee, who played professional basketball, and they coached me during when I was in college, and that just inspired me to bring that knowledge back home to get things rolling in football and basketball. More particularly basketball, because I was a basketball assistant coach there. But, when you're learning from Mark Thomas, too, and all that stuff's instilled into you, it's just another voice to be heard. And I'm glad to be back. I am where I belong.
I would agree with that. And were there any moments maybe in college or anything like that you knew this is what you were going to do?
Oh, absolutely. Like my first week when I was coaching basketball, I was like, yeah, this is it. I don't want to do construction. I don't want to do anything in that realm. I want to coach ball and inspire young adults, and that's my plan.
And kind of think back when we were in school, I know the basketball, you had Burnett, you had different guys, and you know, like you said, to be back home, what does it mean to be here at Odessa, the place you played?
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. It's a full circle moment, you know. Being a teacher at the school, you know, you're working with your teachers that you had in high school, and it's a surreal moment. I mean, being able to get back and coach with Coach Thomas and Coach Blank and Coach Clemens and Coach Kratz. I mean, it was kind of weird at first, like, all right, what's going on? But once you really got to know, because you only knew him from a coach's side, but once you got to know him from like a coworker side, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Not to bring this up, but I just remembered we did this Taco Tuesday. That's probably what you're talking about there.
I mean, just like the little side conversations we have after practice, you know, we'll sit there for like 45 minutes and just talk. We don't talk about work, we just talk. And it's the little things that really matter. And that's what I think that's why you don't see as many people getting into coaching and education, is because it's just so work heavy. But once you have some free time to sit back and just talk and just hang out, that's what kind of calms you down a little bit.
That's awesome. And I'm going to kind of transition a little bit. We're going to head over to the team and, you know, expectations for the year. You know, what are some of your goals for the team in your first season? And
our goals, I would just say, is just getting better. You know, we are extremely young. We play 5 sophomores, 2 juniors who really didn't play a whole lot of varsity last year, and then we have a couple seniors that play. So, I mean, everyone says, you know, oh, here in a couple years, you guys are going to be really good, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I want to be good right now, you know. And I think we have the pieces for it, but our goals are just getting better day in and day out. I mean, we practice extremely hard. That was first week of tryouts. We had to go at 5:30 in the morning because football was still in session. And these kids weren't used to practicing as hard as they were previous years. And they'd go around and tell all the teachers, like, oh, I'm tired, I'm this. I'm like, well, if you guys want to be successful, it's just not going to happen on the snap of a finger. You got to work for it. But that's our main goal this year, is just getting better, increasing our basketball IQ, playing as a team. But I think we're getting there. It's still early in the season, but that's our big goal, is just keep getting better.
And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, you know, with like the culture you're building, and what does that look like a little bit, and how you get them to get better?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I thought I would struggle with, but, you know, being from Odessa, they kind of already knew me. Yeah. And they understood my backstory a little bit. They knew I played at Odessa. They know I went to college to coach, and they've bought in. I have seen from previous film from last year, there's been a huge improvement on just being a teammate, just being a good teammate, showing up early, you know, staying after and shooting, being a good role model in the school. And that's the stuff that I really look forward to, being a first year coach. Is I'm not really concerned with, you know, the X's and O's and wins or losses. I want to build something. It's a project, you know. It just doesn't happen right off the bat. And that's something that I've really been harping on them about, is actually building a basketball culture. Because coaches, they just talk about it, you know. You can talk about it, but you got to be able to do it. And that's what I'm harping on them about. You can talk about it, but you have to be able to be willing to do it.
And that's kind of like I talked to you about with like the Burnett and the coaching things, like the way Odessa football has been looked about since you've been there 2013, you know. And that's why I'm glad that you're here, because I think you can do those type of things, and it's awesome to watch. And I want to ask you a little bit, the relationships with the players. How do you build those, and which are the ones that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, the relationship part, I think, is going really well. You know, only being 23 years old, I'm only about 5, 6, 7 years older than them. But, I mean, there's not really a particular one. I mean, I've known some of these guys for quite a while now. I mean, I coached them when they were in, 2nd grade. So, I mean, our families know each other. So the relationship part really wasn't a struggle. You know, I came in during the summer and they were all on board then, and we just started rolling. I didn't really have to introduce myself. They knew who I was. I knew who they were. And that's something that I'm very fortunate for, because a lot of coaches don't get that opportunity. They got to build relationships. They got to get to know the kids. But going into the job, I kind of already had a grasp on what I was doing, going to get myself into. But the relationship part, I mean, I think they're going really well. Yeah, I mean, it's not a real huge problem for me. So
that's awesome. And I mean, just to kind of jump again, what's a little bit of your coaching style? And I think we're kind of seeing it as we talk, but for you, when you're building these relationships and stuff like that, what are you looking for as a coach in the way that they practice or the way that they play?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty intense when I get out there because don't have a very loud voice, so I have to yell a lot. But it's just, I want the guys to play hard and tough. I don't need they're so used to just playing nonchalant, but I'm just hammering down playing tough. We're not the biggest, we're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, but if we're willing to take some kneecaps, play a little nasty, I mean that's what I told them after our Maryville game a couple weeks ago. I'm like, we gotta be willing to be a little nasty, not dirty, just nasty. We have Tristan James, who sits there at 5'7", 5'8". He's probably one of the nastiest guys we have on the team. He's a fighter, and that's what I look for. Him, Trey Sanders, Cole Westerhold. I mean, those guys do a really good job of playing hard. They have a high motor. Amari Powell's another one. He plays fast, and that's another guy that didn't play a whole lot of varsity last year, and he's a good athlete, and that's something to look forward to, especially in the years upcoming.
And just to talk about like all this stuff, and you're talking about the nastiness and all these type of things. I like that we're instilling that into this culture.
Yeah.
So Will, I just want to ask you a little bit about, maybe, I know it's a younger group, it's a little bit, but who are your leaders and who kind of, helps you out who makes your job easier as a coach?
We have, in my opinion, one really good leader, Trey Sanders. Mm-hmm. You can always hear his voice in the timeout. You can always hear his voice on defense. And what makes me the most happiest is he's only a sophomore. And when you have a sophomore leading your team, you don't see it a whole lot. But if the kids respond well to him, which most of them do, that's the guy that we lean on to for leadership. Amari Powell always has a voice in timeouts. He's a pretty good leader. But they're just still trying to figure out what their role is, what they need to do to have the team be successful. But we're getting there. These guys are so young, and I have 4 guys on the team that can't even drive yet, playing varsity basketball, going up against 18-year-olds. So, and I told them, I'm like, it's gonna take time. Because most of them played varsity as a freshman, and most freshmen don't do that. You don't see 4 freshmen out on a varsity basketball court at all. And I start 4 sophomores this year, and it's just a little difference because you don't have that experience. You don't have that feel for the game, because 2 years ago these guys were playing 8th grade basketball, mm-hmm. and from going to playing 13-year-olds to the next year playing 18-year-olds, that's a huge jump. And but the upside, the next couple of years, I think you'll see some good basketball coming out of us.
Yeah, especially, you're talking about the development and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talk about all the time with these young teams and everything like that. I kind of want to flip the switch again, go a little bit more. What are you expecting this season? Any matchups that you're looking forward to? I know we're getting better, but is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, well, we play Webb City tomorrow up at Hy-Vee Arena. That's going to be a tough one. They're a good team. They're a Class 5 team. So, our conference is pretty good. I think it's down a little bit this year from what I've heard. But, we have some tough games coming up. We go to Richmond and Lawson Tournament. Those are 2 pretty good tournaments. Richmond, I hope we get to play them in the championship of each game. They're a solid team. They got a 6'8" guy who's pretty skilled. They got a good little guard. But Center's a good one to look forward to. We'll play Van Horn and St. Michael's, 2 really good Class 5 schools. So we might take some some thumpings here and there, but it gets those guys better playing that level of competition. It really shows them how well you need to play. What do you need to do to be successful? And that's what it really comes down to. I mean, I told the guys, I went through our schedule, and I thought we could be around 500 this year. I think it was 12-12 or 11-13, 13-11. But, I mean, we can win some games. We're going to win some ball games as long as we play tough. And that first game of the year against St. Paul, we only had about 3 practices together due to football. But we played hard. We shot 6 of 30 from 3. But those are the type of things you can fix. But playing hard and playing tough, those things you can't fix. And that's what I was most excited about, was their intensity, their want to, they're flying around on defense, and I was like, all right, let's do this thing, because it got me pretty excited. They weren't nervous at all. I was shaking out of my boots, but but yeah, I mean, Oak Grove will be a good one. We match up pretty well against them. Let's see, Warrensburg will be another good one. That's our senior night game, but we can get after some teams. But once again, it just comes down to who plays tough.
Who plays tough and who gives effort. I mean, that's what Coach T talks about all the time, is just giving effort. So I'll open it up to you. That's all I had for you. If there's anything else you want to say, Will, thank you for your time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to be back, dude. It's the season, man.
It's exciting getting to see you do your thing, and hopefully we'll get out there, and obviously Bulldog Nation needs to get out there and support you, and hopefully we have a good season, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me on, dude. This is awesome.
Congratulations and best of luck, man.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Garrett Sims. We really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sports Timeout, episode 13, Winter Sports 24-25. Stick with us. A lot going on. Really busy season. As we said earlier, happy holidays. Be sure to be picking up your issue of the Odessan to get all the news stories that are not sports related, to make sure you're keeping up with the community and what's going on in town. We got a lot of great stories going on, and around this time of year, it's always great to know. So we really hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.